Hey, what do you say? This is Bobby Blitz from Overkill. We're at Heavy MTL in Montreal and having a great day. The sun's going down, but the music isn't. I really think it's about the music. Overkill's always had an idea about if you have 45 minutes, take those 45 minutes and squeeze everything out of it and try to squeeze a 46th minute. And I think that's what keeps us going, keeps us inspired. And with regard to the shape, it's always about energy. So.
You're from Jersey. Hardcore in New York and Jersey. Strongholds.
Sure.
And you think it's like...
Talk a bit about how the hardcore scene influenced you, if at all.
Well, I think obviously it did. I think when we were coming up in the New York, New Jersey area, what was happening with us was that there was different places to play, but you had to play with bands of a different genre. And what we saw was the genres kind of melt together. Overkill being more of an aggressive type metal band. Thrash is what you call us. Hardcore bands becoming more thrash as time went on. So, Overkill Murphy's Law was commonality. Overkill Cro-Mags. Overkill Leeway. This was, for us, kind of something special because what you did was you hit an audience that was bigger than your own. You exposed yourself to the hardcore crowd. The metal kids were exposed to the Cro-Mags, for instance. And it became really one scene. At the beginning, it was kind of tough. At the beginning, it was, kind of the oil and water thing. I don't know who was oil and who was water, but boy, there was a lot of fists. A lot of fists and a lot of Doc Martens. And they were both wearing them. But in time, I think it really happened. And I think it happened over cooperation. I think it happened over commonality with goal. I think and that goal being to play the heaviest music you possibly can, or that you love. But at the same time, respect the other group, yet individual. So, hey, I grew up there. Overkill AF. It happens.
That's awesome. How do you feel hardcore values differ from metal values? And I guess, what values do you hold from your earlier years?
Well, if we talk about what happened as opposed to what is, it's most certainly different, and hardcore values have changed. And hardcore values are about commitment, and I think that's a great thing. And Overkill has obviously taken hardcore influence into a lot of their music. I mean, we've done records that have been shunned by the metal public for being too hardcore, and to us that was kind of okay because. It's not a tribute to what we like, but it's something that incorporates itself into our set of values. So the idea is that if our value at the beginning is commitment to itself, and hardcore value is commitment to itself, then the values actually overlap. And the overlapping that we find that we have more in common than we actually have with regard to difference. When I first started playing, and I was playing with a hardcore band, and, I'm playing with Madball, and Madball says, we're this and we're that, and I said, well, I'm just this. I really never have to express my value, I only have to feel it within my heart, I only have to show it on my stage. I think what happens is that there's a commonality of respect, which comes back and forth to each other. So I think that over time that we've really melted into one genre. I mean, it's really the hardcore guys became better players. The metal guys became more intense about what they're doing. When it comes to the thrash stuff, there's other metal kinds of bands. We saw them all day today at Heavy MTL, where they have girl singers in there. They have keyboard players. I'm a huge Type O fan, for instance. I know Pete when he was in Carnivore. People used to say, that's a borderline hardcore band. To me, it was always a metal band. But the values were the same. So what we come out with in the end is, I think, a cooperative understanding.
No more
a lot
boots.
of talking.
No more boots.
A lot of talking. No more red laces.
That's right.
I hated those red laces, man.
Okay.
You have a new band, Bobby. Your new album came out, I believe, this year?
It was last year.
Last
Cursed,
year.
yes.
How did that band come together, and why did you start this new band?
You know, the other guys had always done everything on the side. You know, I was asked, I started projects, I never finished them. The driving force was the guitar player Dan Lorenzo. He writes a riff that he can think. It comes out of his head into his hands. It's rock and roll. You know, is that Jamie? I like Jamie. I like Hatebreed. But I also liked the Rolling Stones, and it was kind of a combination of both. It was a vibe we were trying to create, like Black Sabbath meets the Stray Cats, and it felt like a garage band to me. We could open a Heineken, sit down, have a few laughs, and sow the curse, and that's what it's all about.
Very nice.
Yeah.
How do you bide your time when you're not on tour?
I'm actually a businessman. There's a tie. No ties in my closet, but I own some businesses. I import things from Europe. I enjoy my life. You know, my life is unique because of a 25-year period where I've been able to do things like heavy MTL. But the reality is that there's other days. But if I can come here, but then go back to my other businesses, it's really a unique situation. So.
Nice. What do you see for the future of the metal scene?
It's you know, it's at a crossroads right now because guys like us who are really, you know, if I'm honest, grandfather-like to this. You know, I mean, I look at guys like Lemmy as grandfather-like to me, but we're grandfather-like or father-like to bands like Shadows Fall, to bands like Lamb of God. You know, who really do the same kind of a fucking vibe, come across hard as they can, honest as they can. I think it's a good time for metal because somebody's got to take it to the next level, and it's obviously not going to be us. I mean, if I'm honest about it, I'm not going to say, "Hey, we're here forever, and we're here to rock." We're here as long as they want us here, and obviously they still do. It was it was a hell of a response. I mean, even after us starting 20 minutes late, I mean that's a hell of a response. So.
Can young people get more, I guess, aware, more knowledgeable, more politically active, more in touch with themselves and society?
I think the first step is keep your eyes open. I did 10 years working with kids. I made sure that when I did those 10 years, there was not a drop of alcohol in my life, not a drug, and that was really important. That if I was going to make an impact, a guy walks into a room of kids who says, I'm an accountant and I used to be a drunk and now my life is good. That makes no impact on kids. The guy walks in the room and says, I was in Moscow and they fucking loved us. Makes a huge impact on kids. And they go, what are you talking about? That leads from one question to the next. I think that kids need to keep their eyes open, first and foremost. I mean, the addictions are there. They're presented to us. They're part of nature. It's the way we are. It's our physical makeup draws us to addiction. The idea about achieving what you want is not to embrace your vice, but embrace your dream. It's really simple. The vice can be there. But the reality is, if to embrace the dream, the vice can never overtake the dream. So, I'm happy to say that I've influenced very few kids that I know, but one is now a professional photographer and a sober, drug-free individual to this day. And I met her when she was 14 years old, and court mandated to be able to sit in a room with a guy who just played Moscow and it was sold out. That's fucking hot. It makes a difference, I guess if I get hit by one of the shuttles on the way out of here tonight, I can always say, hey, it was a good ride, and I made a difference in one person's life. And that makes a difference to the next generation. I think that's the most important thing.